Shona, hello. We are finally online. Um, I apologize for all the issues involved, but welcome to the Strange Seeds live stream. I want to have everybody say hello.
Hi, chat.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Okie doke. Hopefully this is all working then, and we can get to the game. Um, So we'll go through a couple of announcements first. The usual things that if you like what we're doing, even though we have technical issues every once in a while, go ahead and support us on Patreon. Um, Also, that starting next week on Tuesday, I will be doing weekly streaming, in which I will be playing through Myst games and giving commentary on how to adapt the things that you see in the game to Unwritten games. As well as other bits of commentary and such that I may come up with on the fly. It's sort of like what Mysterium did with Rand, except I probably don't have as many interesting stories as Rand does. But I'm sure we'll have some interesting stuff to do. We're going to be doing the Myst games, and then we're going to do Abduction, and then we'll see what happens after that. As you can see, we've got a couple blank spaces today. We got a few players who can't make it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run with that and see how we do. Thank you for that, and thank you for your patience. As usual, buy Cyan products, give Cyan money, that sort of thing. I also want to thank Mysterium and Cap and all the Mysterium people for letting me be on the panels there and to talk about Unwritten again. So
we had fun.
I think that's it for the actual. Oh look, yeah, Colin Traveler. Great, hi Colin. So I think that's about it for the announcements. Anybody here have anything they want to say to everybody before we get started? Announcements or updates on anything or nope. That's cool.
Not this month.
Hey, that works for me. Okie doke. So we're back now to our session. Alana, you said you would be willing to give us a little bit of recap. So go ahead and play that.
Yeah, I can give it a shot, and hopefully if I get anything wrong or leave anything out, someone else can chime in. Cap was not with us last session, so Celia will not be a part of the summary. But it was a significant milestone for the rest of us, and so I think several people made journey rolls. Found out that this body we brought back to us, which kind of resembles her, is probably connected to the cult of the tree, which is kind of a lesser known Denny religious cult. There were some phrases in the journal that indicated this connection. Meshavan made a journey roll to essablish an inside connection with the Guild of Engineers. So I think there's a new character there on the inside. Meshavan, I think, actually later relied on that connection. Landris also made a journey roll to write his first age. And I think he described it as a savage island paradise with mysterious secrets. That has also already maybe started to come into play at the end of the last session. And so everyone reunited, and then a sort of familiar occurrence happened. Adri knocked on our front door, and we went to hide the body, and ended up talking with both Adri and Devlin about some of the things we had recently discovered. We talked a little bit about Escher, and we ended up bringing up the cult of the tree. Tome got kind of upset about the lack of solid answers because, people were dying. And so she kind of had an outburst, and we realized that many of the guilds might be opposed to the existence of the cult of the tree, especially any religious guild, any of the more religious guilds. And we still weren't getting very far in our conversation until Kenneth decided to share the journal that we had recovered with the kind of broken fragments. And once she handed that over with one page missing, which Landris had kind of secretly snuck away, that had all of the important distances and directions and numbers. At that point, Adri and Devlin decided to reveal a little bit more to us. It turns out that Adri is a guildmaster of the Reliuma, the Denny secret police that supposedly haven't been in existence for like some thousands of years. So that was a big plot twist. And Devlin's just kind of serving him and helping out. And they are hunting down the cult of the tree. Tome decided not to reveal too much more information at that point about this body and her potential resemblance to it, because she's just not sure who to trust. So we set up a follow-up meeting with Adri and Devlin. They proposed meeting at a Reliuma safe house, and I don't think we felt comfortable with that. So at that point, Meshavin leaned on his inside connection, the Guild of Engineers, to kind of set up a neutral meeting place. And Landris offered to retrieve the Kennelin book, but with a secret plan to actually copy the Kennelin book in record time, as Landris has proven himself able to do before. So he went to Kennelin to write a new linking book. And Meshavin stayed back to keep an eye on the headquarters, and Kenneth and Tome decided to deal with the body. So they kind of disguised the body in a maintainer suit and brought it to Salo, I think it's called, to the sort of safe link-in spot on Salo that Landris had helped create before. And while they were doing this, there was a break-in back at the headquarters. There was an explosion upstairs, and some operative had gotten in and taken the Salo book, not the secret one to the hidden place that Kenneth and Tome went to, but just the main Salo book to follow Landris, where Landris had hidden Kennelin. Hopefully this is all intelligible. So Meshavin warned Landris that he was being followed. Landris kind of lay in wait to see who was following him on Kennelin. It was a kind of man in nondescript dunny garb. We don't really know this person's identity, but at that point, Landris got an idea to maybe use the age that he had created in a plan that hasn't fully been played out yet, but he came back to headquarters to get that book. And Tome and Kenneth retrieved the Kennelin book from Salo, which had been left there. And then they came back to headquarters. And I think where we are at now is that Kenneth and Tome are going to be going to the Guild of Engineers meeting place to have a follow-up meeting with the Reliuma, or with Adri at least. And Landris and Meshavin said that they were going to stay back to work on the security of the headquarters, which is clearly pretty lacking. Maybe to close up some of those hidey holes and secret passageways that Tome's been using to get in and out. But I suspect that things are going to go in a slightly different direction now that we have a different set of players present, now that Celia is back with us, and now that Kenneth and Meshavin are, I don't know, taking a nap or something. Maybe we can figure out what they're up to. I think that's everything.
Oh, sounds good. I'm thinking that since we'll have Kenneth, will probably be working with the people that Adri has left on that rescue effort, and that Mashavan may have been called over because of concerns from his contact in the engineers, since is a place that he's gotten through the engineers, and that that left the three of you that we can continue with. Before we start that, though, I'd like to do a journey roll if you are available to do the significant milestone for Celia.
Yeah. I have not yet thought about what I want, but
Oh, okay. Well, how about this? Why don't you think about it, and then maybe we'll come back at the end of the session.
Sure.
And then we'll go from there. So, okay. So Mashavan's been got pulled off. Kennett's doing a lot of organization, guild caterers. So that's the sort of thing that they do is, prepare for large groups of people and logistics and that sort of thing. And so you guys are back at your base of operations. Laundress has his brand new age that's there, and so what do you guys do?
Yeah. So Leah's back from her really long board meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this when I walk in the door from a meeting and go, so what did I miss?
Yeah,
You walk up, you see there's a hole blown in the side of the HQ. You come in, like there's still a bit of like a smoky smell. You did get that text, like, you got the D message, like, don't freak out about the dead body in your bed.
Yeah.
Like so Leah's coming back to something real interesting here. And I can just imagine Mashavan's off with like the Guild of Engineers right now because somebody blew a hole in what was supposed to be his meeting room. And they're like, so why is there a hole blown in the side here, Mashavan? Like, we need to fill out some paperwork.
Yeah,
so, and the base does kind of smell weird, like there's of kind of sulfur and explosions.
It's that murder rock smell.
Yeah, it's got that that prime murder rock smell.
So Celia just walks up to the headquarters, having checked the message and been like, what is happening? And then sees the hole. And then she pinches the bridge of her nose and she comes on in. She looks to see who is there.
Yeah, Laundress and Toman. Laundress is you're probably flexing with various things, and I'm not sure what Toman would be doing at the moment besides being very angry at the secretive groups involved. So you guys tell me what you're doing.
Taking a moment after very body.
So Landris is probably like getting all of the books period together, except for maybe like a stash of like the ones we have from the maintainers themselves, and then a set amount of like the blank ones and enough writing stuff to keep it believable that this is still our HQ, right? But everything else is like just getting kind of packed up. Maybe it's hidden in one of the maintainer suits right now because that's about the only thing that maybe somebody wouldn't just check in immediately. I don't know. I'm not good at this. That's Toma's department. But he's trying to kind of like congregate everything, because if we do happen to find a better place, it should all be easy to relocate quickly. So that's probably what he's futzing with.
And Tome, you said you were sort of regrouping.
Yeah, I think she is very on board with finding a new base of operations at this point. I think this has been like such a grungy and lacking in creature comforts sort of place, but she has been willing to call it home for a while because no one goes there, no one pays attention to it, it's out of the way, she feels safe there. And now that it's being blown up and people are coming and knocking on the doors all the time, like she's not really about that kind of brute force or being put on the map like that. So I think she's probably helping Landris prepare for to prepare for our getaway. to whatever is next.
Well, we still have to make sure this age is safe. Like I gotta hop in a maintainer suit and make sure like I didn't link into a supernova or something. And then at some point we'll probably have to forge a maintainer seal on it. Because if we leave a linking book around somewhere, we don't want it to be apparently obvious that it's an illegal age. We'll get to that later. First, we got to make sure it's safe, and we're not going to like die to crazy deep sea crocodiles or something like when we link it.
Crocodiles.
Yeah, it's an island age. That's all I know. I went from as far as Landris is concerned, he can look at the picture. He can see it's an island, and it's supposed to have like something underneath it, kind of like Unai, like maybe some kind of like cavern system. But he doesn't know. He doesn't quite understand the phrases he's put into this book and how they mesh together. This is his first kind of like experiment at making something genified, for lack of a better term. Yeah, so this could be a terrible idea, but it's the only one he's got.
Yeah. So you guys are gonna take a moment to try to explore the age and make sure it's safe.
Well, so Leah still has to like come in and be like, "What the hell is going on?"
First, recap me up, and then we explore the new age.
If you guys want to role play the recap, that's fine, or we can fast forward with it, whichever you prefer.
So Leah, are there Cap, are there any specific questions that you think that Celia would have?
She would definitely have a freak out about the secret police thing when that gets revealed. I mean, I don't know if any of the rest of you were in the text stream last time, but I had a freak out when that happened. Remember, I was like, "What? What?" Cecilia probably also has a similar, like, just I guess the sort of recap version would be she just like probably sits down.
And if I recall, Landris was able to copy the fragments from the journal in their entirety and remove the page with all the like the table and stuff, if I remember properly.
Notice a pulled out page, whatever, we could have found it like that.
Right. Well, it's not exactly in the best shape. It's a tattered journal that's kind of charred and crap anyway, so it's not. Yeah. But either way, we have it for now, and Landris would probably share that information.
Makes sense.
So.
Yeah. So with that, I think Celia would just be like, okay, so I was not here for the invasion of this place. So yeah, what are we doing? Where are we going? Since God knows that's her attitude to literally everything is, well, that's shit. Pause. Okay, where next?
In retrospect, you probably chose a good time not to be around.
At least for plausible deniability.
This was the best, worst timed 7-hour meeting with your boss?
Yeah.
Question mark?
So.
Okay, so what are you guys doing?
Because Landris would then like, Toma knows because he was asking about Toma being able to hide this book better than anybody else he knows. So Toma knows about the new age. He would also clue Celia in about, but keep it on the DL because totally not a legit age. This is a big taboo, but would at least clue her in. So we could possibly be looking at that now and looking at the panel possibly for some of them for the very first time. Ooh.
Okay. So yeah, what you see in the panel is you see it's a beach, not that unsimilar to Isna, if I remember correctly, except that it goes very quickly into a very jungle-like area as it goes inland. The winds, wind seems to be sort of gusty, so they're all, all the plants are moving back and forth, like, almost like they're, like they're moving on their own in a way, because they kind of shudder in kind of a weird way in the wind. It's very, very, very green. There are lots, there are trees and bushes, and they're green, and they're yellow bushes and orange bushes. It's just full of all sorts of sort of good naturey colors. The water itself seems relatively normal. It's nice and clear blue and that sort of thing. But that's pretty much about all you can see from the linking window itself.
Okay.
So yeah, looks
It looks
okay.
promising.
So yeah, so I remember from Book of Dunny that there's weird stuff with the maintainer suit to do this thing. I would assume Landris would have some knowledge of how to do the like link panel in the glove thing, so that we could perform that initial test. And that would probably be first step, because while yes, he's excited about this, and yes, we need to get out of here as quickly as possible, he also doesn't want to get everybody killed.
Yeah, there's some basic equipment that's taken along for just sort of the initial, let's do the tests to make sure that there's nothing, that the atmosphere is good, and there's nothing inherently toxic and that sort of
right.
thing. And so yeah, there's kind of a standard set of equipment for that, and you have access to that sort of thing as a
right.
So I think that we'll probably just kind of fast forward through that part.
Oh yeah. Just as long as it's safe and we're not going to get like eaten or killed.
Yeah. So we'll have is Landris going to do the test?
I mean, it would make the most sense. He's the one who knows how to operate the equipment.
Yeah.
Just one double checking.
Yeah.
So we'll have you link through. You do standard bits of tests. Atmosphere is the atmosphere is breathable. No toxins detected. It's very windy at the moment. Lots of offshore wind going, and the you get sort of kind of weird little sounds from the wind going through the trees, sort of like I mean, there's it's kind of a cacophony of things. There's this sounds that almost sound like a vuvuzela every once in a while,
right?
Or then you get sort of like it's whistling through like some sort of rocks or something like that. So there's lots of noises being caused by the wind.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So
he would warn people maybe to bring earplugs.
Yeah. The weather doesn't look. I mean, it's very windy, but there's no approaching storms or anything like that you can see. There's no immediate fauna that you see at the moment. Standard, pretty standard gravity, that sort of thing. Not, there's nothing really special that comes out of the test, except that this should be safe for Dini life.
Okay. All right then. So yeah, he would do his thing and come back and let everybody know, and then he also would make sure he has a linking book back to the office.
Oh yeah.
Here's the question: do we bring all the other books with now, or do we wait till we find a space to stack them?
How are we doing on containers at this point? I know we've built some secure containers for linking books. I don't know how weatherproof they are. What are they right now?
Well, they were based. Shaman made them based off of the containers that you guys got from your first batch of books, and those are those were maintainer storage boxes for use in the field. So there's a lot of they're pretty well protected.
Okay.
I mean, it's not gonna withstand like being dropped into a volcano or anything.
Right. This is just. It's much more of a if we have to do a panic link.
Yeah.
Like we want to make sure, but also we don't want to leave it unguarded, because we're already going to be leaving the descriptive book here, and I'm not terribly thrilled about that. But I also don't want to have somebody just stuck behind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
maybe Kinnett comes back from the Guild of Caterers and she's able to keep an eye on this book because she's busy like preparing something, or I don't know. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There will be some way that this is safe. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying not to overthink it. Yeah.
We won't set the details right now, and if it becomes important later, then we'll sweat them.
Yes. So all right. So if we have somebody here, then leaving the books behind is still okay, and we don't have to worry as much about having to panic link with bringing all of the books back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Tomei still has some concern about this, given that we thought things were safe before when Mashaban stayed back, and then there was an explosion and a book went missing.
that's fair.
And at this point, wait, is it Adri or Audrey? How is that?
It's actually Adri. I keep swinging back, but it's definitely Adri.
Okay, so at this point, Adri and Devlin have most of our journal fragments, which means that they know that there are 3 keys hidden in Lost Hopes, Heller, and Ishna. And
Yeah.
I think we probably want to beat them there to those places, but they are almost undoubtedly going to try to get those books from us, either above board or below board. They're going to find a way to get those books from us. So
but we have the table with all the actual dates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not Landris is able, like, we think we have the puzzle solved out of character. Whether or not that has translated to in character, that's completely up to V as far as that. But yeah, I think like that's definitely something. But either way, they're missing that critical bit of information that tells them distance and angle.
Yeah.
Or what we think is distance and angle.
Without that table, they're not going to be able to decipher it.
They're digging blindly.
Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully they won't get the keys, but that doesn't mean they won't still go through the book. I guess.
I got to roll equivalent of a natural 20 to find those keys right now.
Yeah.
So just people who are listening out there, if you want to give some suggestions for what sort of fauna our intrepid players might encounter in Leshti, go ahead and pop it in chat. I'll include that in my ideas. If not, then I've got my own.
Am I allowed to vote dinosaurs? I'm out of the roof the chat.
But
guys, I'm right. Say dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
I will always say dinosaurs or
That's
piranha chickens. My children, my babies, my precious.
We're gonna wind up with that like Land of the Lost T-Rex that just is misunderstood.
It is a savage island paradise.
Yes.
So
all right.
Okay, so are you guys gonna do a little bit of exploration?
Makes sense.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. And yeah, because of what Thomas said, we'll go ahead, we'll bring the box with. At least with like the Kennelin and the other ones that supposedly the Reliuma gave us. Yeah. Because those ones are the most important. And actually, Landers would have probably just given the Kennelin book directly to Toma because it means the most to her. And keeping it safe, matters very much to her. And he doesn't want to be the guy that screws that up.
Yeah.
But no, definitely. Definitely. Okay, no. So, you link on through. You heard the description from before. The scent on the wind is a combination of, maritime saltwater sort of scent. Scent, lots of, that sort of smell of there being lots of, life in the ocean. That sort of, kind of musky smell that you get when you're down at like say like a port or a fishing village or something like that. But you hear all the various kind of different sounds coming from the wind blowing through the trees. It's not quite cacophonous, but it definitely is noticeable. But not dissonant. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I assume that you guys are going to do your sort of usual check things out sort of thing. So let's do set of investigation rolls.
Yeah. So
So everybody decide choose which sort of thing that you are what sort of skills that you're using. And we'll do it versus 4. So, Tome, what skill would you be using?
Could I make a case for using my survival skill, which is now my strongest skill?
Absolutely. This is definitely a survival compatible situation.
Right. So I will use my survival skill to, potentially identify what could be the greatest risk to our survival here or establishing a base here.
Okie doke.
My roll cancels out to a 0, but the skill is a +4.
Okay, so that's a tie. Which gives you, one question. Unless you want to, hit one of your aspects to increase that a bit. You get a +2. That'll give you, about 2 3 questions. So yeah.
It usually seems like it's a good idea to spend fate points because they refresh every session, but I think I might hold off for now just because we're under no pressure.
Okay, so
right.
you'll get a simple yes/no question. Because it's a tie. Hey, Sophia.
I rolled a +2,
Okay.
and on surveying because that's her job,
Mhm.
and she has a 4, so that is a +6.
Okie doke. So you get two questions that you can do. And Laundress.
So Landris is obviously far too excited about this because he was going to use athletics to like maybe kind of scale some of the trees and stuff, like make his way through the really windy stuff to try and discern some kind of information because his athletics is like a +4. But I totally rolled a -2.
Uh-oh.
So I'm at a 2.
So you can either tag or you can choose succeed at a cost.
I say this is definitely one of those like I feel the driven with a useful naivete is here. Like he got way too excited about this, and yeah, I'm gonna try a re-roll if that's okay with that.
That's 1 fate point.
Yes. Okay, well that's a +0, so that's just a +4 overall. So
okay, so you get the one.
I'll take it.
You get the yes/no question. Okay, so Tome and Laundress each have 1 yes/no question, and Celia has 2 questions. You can either start, asking questions. You can start doing things. So, what is Celia gonna do?
So Celia is really excited to be checking out this place. You said that there's very much that oceany smell and that Shavan tried to crack the countries, but I'm just trying to envision it a little better. Is there some visible point she can start walking to orient, like a particularly large copse of trees or an interesting mountain?
I mean, not right here. I mean, it
Okay.
does. There's a bit. There's an area where the island kind of curves around. So I mean,
Okay.
you're sort of it's not like a promontory or like a peninsula or anything like that, but it's definitely a little kind of a smaller area, kind of open out. You haven't really seen much of the rest of the you can't really see much of the rest of the beach from there. Looking inland, I mean, it goes up, into like hills and such, which is pretty common for an island sort of thing. And it's all very very lush and verdant, covered with all these multicolor and bright foliage.
Okay. So in that case, the first thing I think she would do would be start, doing the walking and taking measured pace notes.
Yeah.
Probably, I think, towards the inland to get to the borderline edge of the foliage and see if she spots anything in there. So my first question is, at that transition point, where the coast meets the foliage. Does she spot any traces of left behind of something that she should worry about? For example, animal footprints.
You actually find this. I mean, you find there's you can hear you see insects.
Mhm.
And there, there's lots of plants. You don't actually see any real evidence of fauna.
Okay. So, like, I
Um,
have not actually accidentally stepped on turtle eggs.
no, you haven't anything like that. You don't see any sort of things like you would expect, like game trails or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's yes. That was going to be my question. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, are there people here we have to worry about? I'm glad you asked it.
I mean,
So
yeah,
she's gonna
definitely.
pause there and
And like I said,
start.
when I say game trails, I mean like trails that animals would probably be going through the foliage.
Right.
Cute, tiny coastal deer, like the ones in Key West.
Okay, so that's one question. Tome, what about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know how much information I can get out of a yes/no question, but Tome is not a very trusting soul, and maybe this is metagaming a little bit, but I kind of know when someone says that sound is just the wind, especially like if you're in a horror genre, usually that means that something is sneaking up on you and about to kill you. It's never just the wind. Um, so I think Toma's question is kind of listening to all these different weird howling sounds that the wind through the leaves and stones. Is there anything that sounds like it could be kind of masked behind that? Is there anything that sounds like it would be hard to explain by just the wind blowing on an object that's inanimate?
There, from where you are right now, you don't really get much of that. I mean, there's a definite lack of like animal-like sound. Um, though you do get the occasional sort of low thrum that you kind of feel up through the earth. So
Mm,
that's about it, I'd say. So yeah. I mean, there's not anything being hidden, or in terms of anything dangerous,
okay.
at least immediately.
Okay.
Oh, there's laundress.
Um. Okay, so there's no like game trail. There's no obvious signs of flora or fauna.
I mean, there's flora all over the place.
Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. There's no obvious signs of fauna.
Fauna.
Um. I would assume that with that also means there's no signs of sentient fauna? Question mark. I think that would be a safe assumption.
That'd be a safe assumption.
So, okay. By scaling the tree, looking out more towards inland, is it just jungle? Like as far as I can see, is there other types of terrain? Like, this, trying to make this a yes or no question, like it's hard.
You see a clearing to go investigate.
Do I see like a clearing or like a mountain or something like that that obviously like breaks up the jungle?
There are some small. I mean, there's some hills towards the middle of it. But the island looks surprisingly flat. I mean, it goes up a bit like you would expect for islands, but it's not like a volcanic island where there's sort of a central cone or central set of mountains and such. But it all looks you know just covered with this foliage. There's just no breaks in it.
Okay. All right. I've made the jungle island before it was harvested. Okay.
That's a good point and a good visual.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
Yeah, and then he would just come back down and like relay that information.
Okay.
So it is unclear how much further we want to investigate at this point, because we're not really here to discover some deep secrets and solve some mystery. We're mostly just here to see, is this a relatively safe place to...
Is it safe, and can we find a decent place to set up like a temporary headquarters?
Right. And so far it's passed, the eyeball test. There's nothing jumping out as a reason why we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So the question Celia would ask the others is, would we think we want to set up a little more inland or along the coast?
Yeah. If I had a second question, it would probably be, does that wind seem to continue moving stuff the further in than we go?
Make more rolls for questions. What you can do?
I know.
Describe to me what what sort of things you're doing to change your situation in terms of set up equipment or that sort of thing, and then I can give you another roll. But you need to tell me, you have to explain to me, do the CSI, so
right?
Tell me, what are you doing?
Yeah. Most of that stuff's not great for me. I've got like athletics, intrusion, and rapport. They're all good or higher.
Athletics would let you figure out, when you're doing athletic stuff, you have to take into account the wind and environment.
That's true.
And this goes for all three of you. If you Celia wants to set up some more stuff. If Tomei wants to do some more scouting using her survival. Just as I said, you got to tell me what give me the CSI details of what you're doing, and then we can go from there.
I don't know if I can use research for this. I think where my head is at right now is that even if this looks reasonably safe on the surface, we know that this is a very new age written by someone who's just learned the art. And I'm wondering whether there are any common types of dangers associated with ages written by kind of amateur writers. For example, like some of those Gen issues, like maybe...
So like a handbook of common age, common faults and first stages that might have been read or talked about, things you overheard.
Right. So could I use research to get some sort of idea about that? Like, oh, there probably will be an earthquake at some point. So maybe, find a place that's not going to be susceptible to avalanches or, whatever.
I wouldn't make you make a roll for that, because you're not you're not a writer, you wouldn't be able to get too deep into that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of common wisdom about it, because this is Denis, after all.
So people talk gossip, and you've overheard.
Yeah, and I mean the common things that happen for the new writer are unintended consequences. The more destructive ones usually are pretty noticeable right away. There's a lot of new ages which tear themselves apart really quickly. But usually it's unintended consequences of some choice that they have made. And so that might be, you don't know exactly what choices will understand.
Okay, I've got a
what
question.
Wanders was going for. So.
Yeah, I'd be curious if Wanders wants to speak to that at some point. Like, what are the...
So yeah, because he could speak a little. So that's what I was gonna say. Like, I could aid her possibly with that. Because I've got my New Age survival guide, which has like assumedly the checklist of what makes a safe age, right? And then also, give some of the insight that Landris had, trying to make a place, that was both, secure enough and still, by just taking some of what we've seen in places like Unai and Ishna, maybe the island age, just trying to combine some of the aspects of both of those so that we have some possible subterranean hideaways in case we're ever followed, but
how do we get
also some type of like islandy style thing like that, where hopefully if we have to camp out for a while, we can survive on the local flora.
Sure.
You know.
So why don't you do you remember what skill you used in your journey roll to write the age? Was it research or?
It wasn't research because research only a 1.
Survival, experiment.
Like because intrusion. The survival's a +2. Intrusion. Okay.
So what's your sheet?
Right. Yeah. Here. Boop, boop, boop. I was also about to say, like, I could just pull up the beginning of that episode, but that would take way too long.
Probably survival. I'm thinking that's the highest of the things I would think that you've got.
Right. Because it couldn't be athletics.
Mm-mm.
It 100% couldn't be athletics.
It would be very difficult to athletically write an age.
Yeah, exactly. We may have flubbed it as intrusion because of the way he was copying, but I don't remember.
Let's go for if you can do a survival roll at a 3, and
That's only a
yeah, only 3.
That's only a +1 on the dice, so hopefully I haven't been rolling great today. But
oh well. And we'll use this to do a create advantage roll. We'll create an aspect that Tomei can tag in her research.
that's a 0 right there. So that puts me at a +2.
So tag and
how do I
aspect
do,
or
do.
Choose to succeed at a serious cost.
Trying to. I would say this is one of those. He's being asked to reevaluate his own work, right? Mm-hmm. So now he's going through his mind with a fine-tooth comb, trying to figure out what could possibly be wrong. Mm-hmm. So this could either be being neurotically cautious when it comes to performing the evaluation of an age, or coming to the grips with the reality that he's not as smart as he believes he is, because now he's realized maybe he was a little in over his head when he wrote this.
Let's go with the first one.
Okay.
I'm going to take that if you want to tag for a +2, or do you want to reroll?
I'll just do it as a +2. I don't want to try a reroll. There's a chance.
Aspect of summary of your age and have it invoked on it. Okay, so Tomei. Now let's figure out what sort of skill we'll be using for you to do your deductions from. You could probably use survival. You like that?
Or yeah, you think that makes more sense than research?
I mean, definitely because you're trying to figure out what might be dangerous, and it's like I said, this is definitely a survival situation.
Yeah. Well, if you'll give me my strongest skill, I'm happy to use it. Sure.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Once again, it cancels out to a 0.
Oh. Okay. That's a 4. I mean, I can give you a question there, but if you want more, I mean, you've got that that free invoke from the summary from Andres. They can give you 3 questions.
You're saying with the free invoke could get the 3 questions. Yeah. I mean, that's why we set it up, right? I think we should go for that.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So you have your 3 questions. You guys can get, you can ask them, or we can continue doing other things. You guys, what do you want to do?
And these would be 3 questions specifically about kind of likely issues we might expect to crop up in this age.
Likely issues and sort of things that you might expect. Just kind of general questions about the general nature of the age based off of what Laundress was going for.
Right. Okay.
And you guys can collaborate on the questions if you let me know. Or not.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I have an idea for something I want to do, but I want to see what they do first. But I have a stunt in mind that might help.
Are we going to find a star fissure somewhere in this age randomly? Is it that broken?
I mean, or should I use my stunt now to add into what everybody's doing?
Sure. You like?
Yeah.
Because remember that I have a surveyor's eye stunt,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
specifically lets Celia use surveying instead of notice while actively scanning for traps or threats.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I feel like originally I was thinking Tomb Raider kind of thing, like threats in a crumbling ruin, but honestly, to a surveyor whose job is to, I mean, it's not safety looking like maintainers, but looking for
Mhm.
obvious pitfalls or things that would be dangerous, this feels like a relevant skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Specifically. So if you want to deduct me that,
Yeah. Go ahead and do a roll. Just we'll do it at 4. And yeah, we can create another aspect, and or we can either I don't know, 6 of one, half done the other. Either we create an aspect or we add more invokes to Laundress's aspect.
all right, I
It's kind
rolled
of the same thing, really.
rolled a 1.
Mhm.
I love that my hand disappears. I rolled a 1. So with my +4, that's a 5.
Okay. That's a successful, addition of I guess you can, do you want a separate aspect or you just want to add an invoke? The separate aspect means you get to kind of define something.
What do you guys think? What would be more useful? Because we've got how many invokes on
Yeah, just pick narrative
Landresses?
So-
about what you want.
So this is to define an aspect of the age?
No, just an aspect of the
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
Because we've got, Laundress's summary of,
Yeah.
of the situation, and then, Celia's, surveying to set up another aspect of the situation related to
Right.
the area.
Because we've got 3 questions already.
Yeah. I mean, this plus one will kick it into lots of questions and into, the big, hint area.
Right.
It will turn it into an excelled role. So I guess the big question is that, Celia, Cap, do you want to define something about the situation, or you just want to move us forward?
I want to move us forward as much as possible.
Mhm.
I figured I would roll because I figured her training as a surveyor is likely to
Mhm.
help them be able
Right.
to ask,
Okay.
to help us ask more applicable questions and make sure that we're focusing on finding our way to. I mean, since I'm looking for traps or
That's
threats,
cool.
I think the thing I'm thinking of is Celia is looking for the safest places
Mhm.
nearby where we could start setting up camp. So
Okay, we
whichever
won't
you
worry
think is
about
better for
different
that.
aspect.
Okay.
Okay,
Whereas-
so Tome, this little extra bit of help bumps you into an excelled role. This means you get 5 questions at this point. You get a bunch. Also, you have the option for the big hint, which you can use or not. And if you don't use it, you get at the end of the scene you get a fake point for not using it. But you can use it.
Okay, so it's 5 questions plus the option for a big
Mhm.
hint.
Yep.
Or-
So you got a really good, with all the pluses. You got a really big roll.
Okay.
And the 5 pluses, the 5 questions we will keep throughout the scene for various things involving the age. So
Okay.
as we move along and do other things, you can still use them. They're not going to go away until you leave the age.
And I can share those questions. They don't all need to be my questions, right?
Yeah, you can collaborate. That's no problem.
Oh.
The one thing that comes to mind to start, and I don't know if this is too broad of a question, but it would just be, do there seem to be any inherent contradictions in the sorts of rules that Landris wrote into the age, or even in relation to some of the environmental things that I'm noticing? Like, what seems most likely to be in conflict with what else?
I mean, given the sort of things, I mean, you're no geologist or biologist, but given the sort of things that are written in the book, that according to Landris, you would expect a lot of fauna,
Right.
and you're not seeing it.
Hmm.
And we're also, I don't know if this counts as a separate question, but we're also not seeing like bones, skeletons. We're not seeing evidence.
That's not worth the question, but also you don't see it.
Okay.
That could mean they're further into the jungle, but
it could also mean that it's just not populated by creatures, which is sort of weird.
or it could be all underground.
Maybe we should figure out a way to look into the underground, because we don't want like giant people eating sandworms to burrow up from the ground and consume us.
There was that little bit of rumbling in the ground. I'm not sure what that was, but if Unai was an inspiration here, yeah, maybe we should check out an underground.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There could be murder rocks down there. Who knows?
What do you have for doing that checking?
Well,
I've
got surveyor training, so I probably know what that looks like if I'm searching actively. Right?
I mean, you'd obviously need to find some way to the underground.
Right.
so
if our goal is to start walking along the coast, maybe looking for an entrance to the underground. Tide pool with a hole in it. Cave.
Okay. I mean, are you guys going to do split up and scout the area thing, or?
That's one option. Yeah. Landris would lose his mind, but that's okay. That's not anything new.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, you mentioned we were hearing sounds as if like air whistling through rock. Is that coming from like a specific direction that we could maybe figure out or head towards, or
Not really. I mean, it's sort of general inland.
Inland. Okay.
Yeah. It's
So
part of the whole wind,
Yeah.
Through the
Right,
yeah.
Because definitely between that and with Landris not seeing anything other than jungle as far as the eye could see, that would infer that what we're hearing is probably the wind whistling through an underground cave somewhere, which, depending on how much the trees are moving inland, could give us a range to kind of search for.
That makes sense, actually.
I didn't think to ask how far in the wind looked like it was going.
I mean, the
We've
whole
got more
island.
questions.
Okay.
You ever looked out on the plain and you see all sort of the grass moving around?
Yes.
It looks like that,
Yes.
except with trees. Tree size things.
All right.
Is it having any negative physical effect on us, or just notable?
No, simply just notable. No bad effects. Not causing headaches or anything.
Be a really, really great place to fly a kite.
There you go. Tome, what you think?
Well, Solina should have some standard Denny equipment for, testing for hollow ground, right? For probing for.
Yeah, we've actually established that I have access to a small ground penetrating radar, remember? Because we used it to find the hollow.
Yes. Is that your specialized tool that you brought
It
with?
is my specialized tool.
Well, what it was so good that you remembered to bring it this time.
Yeah.
Good idea.
There was.
Okay, so we can use that. If you want to use one of those outstanding questions to ask a question using the ground penetrating radar.
That sounds like a good question.
It is a good question. Let's do that. If I am scanning the ground with the ground penetrating radar, then do I find any areas where it's thinner or where something pings back?
Interestingly enough, the ground penetrating radar shows that the land that land under you is full of holes, full of empty spaces. So almost like there's not a lot solid beneath this.
Oh boy.
As solid from the geology perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That mean we're about to fall in a sinkhole.
It was more like is this more like Swiss cheese, or is it more like a whole like network of caves? Can we tell like the scale of it?
That'd be another question. So that'll be your third. But it's kind of a combination of both. Like there's a lot. I mean, it's got that color Swiss cheese where there's lots of like empty spaces, almost like pumice. Like if you took pumice and like scaled it up.
Okay.
But definitely enough. You live in caves, so definitely enough space in there to establish living areas and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on underground.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, glad you brought that tool with you, Celia. That's
yeah.
Great thinking.
So clearly it's at least somewhat structurally sound because the ground isn't getting ripped up by the wind right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't collapsed yet. Nobody's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely structurally sound. There's just a lot of cavernish type space down there.
So did that tool show any sort of place where we might be able to ingress from the surface?
Is that's going to be your fourth question?
If people agree.
Yes.
In fact, you're finding that the places where there might be openings are probably underwater near the off out into the water from the coast. Like there's probably underwater cave openings and that sorts of things. Grotto.
Cool.
Well, if it's a great thing, I totally have this athletic skill where I can totally swim and use my stunt, set the anchor point,
there you go.
and try and find one of these things.
Yeah.
And set a rope that people who might have weaker swimming abilities could use to pull themselves into the subterranean tunnel.
There we go. Okie doke. Let's make that athletics roll. And this is going to be kind of a tough one. So I'm going to give you a 5 on this because there's a lot going on.
All right.
So, yeah.
Let's see. And how does that set the anchor point? It's just adequate. Okay. So that would give me at least that, but that's okay. We're going to roll this. Oh, dang it.
No.
Oh, heck. That gives me a +3. I'm gonna succeed at a cost. Serious.
You do find some doing some serious swimming. You do find some openings that seem to lead in towards the island. You dive on in, come up, and there is a sort of underwater grotto. The air is surprisingly fresh for an underground place. It doesn't seem to have an air, so that means probably there's air coming in from elsewhere. The grotto is, I mean, it's, I'm assuming that you'll have some sort of light source, like some fire marbles with you.
I would assume with the set the anchor point, like trying to set up the safe passage for the others.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of this, is to set it so that they can get in. If I'm sick and like half drowned when I get down there, that's fine, as long as they have a route in that's safe.
Yeah. So when you come in with a fire marble, there are lots of sort of coral-like structures here. A lot of it very, like I said, very pumice-like, where there's lots of spaces and holes and that sort of thing like that, and a sort of tubular cave leading towards in the island's directions, off into the darkness.
Okay. So.
But yeah,
it's safe.
You are able to set up, a set of ropes and stuff like that, so that people can easily get there, just as long as they can hold their breath for a little bit.
Right. So perfect. So I'm gonna do the tug 3 times on the rope to let people know that it's safe now, so that they can follow. And then I'm gonna keep my eye out for any dune level worms.
Just remember to walk without rhythm.
Yes.
And you won't grab one.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless it's a graboid, but that's a completely different franchise.
Yeah.
So does that make it
what do y'all? What does Celia and Tommy do?
Does that make it easier for us to go down without having to do a roll, or do we still
Yes.
have to do a roll but get a boost? Okay.
You won't need to do a roll unless you're doing something, it's some sort of, dangerous event.
Okay.
And
I have
Alana,
athletics,
once
but
again,
it's
you've
not
come up with
great.
a great background.
Yeah.
Check that out.
I mean, this
We got
can,
this with Thomas, we've got above ground, and then with Elena, we got the below ground. This is great.
And I'm just
Yes.
too lazy to play background scenes.
this campaign has inspired some very fun Google image searches.
There we go.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, so are you guys going down there?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, you're in that sort of grotto area. Like I said, it's very sort of, it's a reef-like, coral-like rock. And like I said, the tubular tunnel that leads towards the island.
What was the experience like, by the way, to get down here? Like, was it a significant length of swimming? Was the tunnel entrance very far out in the water, or was it like, oh, it actually wasn't too hard?
You had to kind of wait out a ways.
Mhm.
But thanks to the the line that Laundress has put out there, it's definitely you kind of had to hold your breath for a bit. And it was getting towards a little bit towards you, like, oh, I'm not really comfortable anymore. Once you got through, but the fact that you had a really a line that you could just pull and it took you kind of directly the way, makes it definitely feasible.
Oh, I just think that's worth knowing in case anyone ever follows us here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, is there?
A,
Yeah.
it'll be a pain for them. And then B, if this turns out to be safe and stable long term, we could always write a book into
Mhm.
Right. We can write a
Hero
book
set
into
up
the
underground.
grotto and remove the anchor point, making it even harder to find.
Right. Like, I guess that's definitely what I was thinking, is in terms of preserving it from other
Yeah.
people. And also just, I don't know, I'm nosy about the general experience. So like,
Yes.
was it like we were diving straight down into a hole and then going through a tunnel? Was there anything of note in the tunnel? Like, I don't know, kelp, coral, cool glowing underground crystal rocks that shimmer in the water?
Not a lot of that sort of thing right here. I mean,
Okay.
the water itself definitely has lots of like seaweeds, and there's you do actually see a couple things moving on the way down. Like, so there's some sort of font. There's some sort of there's definitely life in the ocean here.
There's fish, it just may not be above ground stuff. Okay. I'm sorry if these are
There
too
we
many
go.
questions,
No.
but I really like to get a sensory.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I
feeling
mean, there are
for
little
our
fish
show.
and that sort of thing. Well, fishish type of things. Jellyfishish type things floating around.
And
It
we
definitely
eat
is
them.
an ocean that is alive and
Okay.
full of life.
Ooh, what's the salinity content?
The salinity count is actually relatively low compared to what you expect in a lot of oceans. I mean, there are
Okay.
lots of different types of oceans in different ages,
Yes.
but and not all oceans are saltwater.
Mhm.
But there's a little bit of salt in the fun.
Okay.
Enough to give it that the sea spray has that salt smell to it.
Enough to make it not drinkable.
Yes. Okay, so you're inside.
Yes.
You've got the water to one side and you've got the tunnel to the other. What are you doing?
I kind of like the idea of security through obscurity of, if we write a linking book to here, it will be convenient, but it also is a liability because then anyone can find the linking book. And I kind of like the idea that you would link in to one point and then there would be a little bit of a journey that you have to take to get to where our new safe cave is. And
we could always leave some kind of beacon here to get back and keep exploring through the tunnels and then see where we want to go.
Well,
because it might be that there's narrowness, tightness, or some other feature in one of the tunnels on the way that's scary. And it might be that maybe we want to skip the swimming stage, but still have to do the balance beam over a narrow canyon kind of thing.
Well,
But I do
so
think it makes
I
sense to explore this area before deciding on a new Lincoln Park.
right. So I would point out that we use this awesome tool that Celia brought to sort of, ground penetrate radar. So we've probably been able to, because Celia is an awesome surveyor who's very, very talented and always has the right tool for the job. We're probably able to maybe make some sort of rough map of the tunnel system around here to give us an idea of how labyrinthian it might be, and maybe have an edge on exploring further into the tunnels and having an idea of maybe what tunnels might be too narrow to progress and where might have a good idea of where we're heading before we start venturing into the dark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could make a roll for that.
Yeah, go for it. This one actually, you're in the, you're in the middle, in media res of all the tunnels. So this is not going to be a hard one. Go just do difficulty of 3.
That's exactly a 3 because I rolled a null.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of tunnels, especially heading back towards the island. There are several tunnels that kind of, run downward, and you seem to, go back under the water table, as it were. There are several, there's a couple places where the tunnels go, sort of along, go along up in the water, down in the water, and there's a couple that kind of head up into, seem to kind of head up into the island after, kind of skimming along the water. So there's lots of, there are lots of stuff. You're gonna find there are tunnels that you can only get to by diving down, and then coming back up. There are some that sort of just open up into the water, but then go upwards into the island. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there is a, it is a grand, subterranean world here.
The labyrinth. Cool. I'm down.
Yeah.
So
We found our headquarters, guys.
I vote that we start. This time we don't split up and we start exploring so that somebody can pull someone else out if needed. And we start exploring one of the tunnels that moves inland towards the island.
Okie doke.
I mean, if nobody else objects, because I don't think we should explore ones that go further out to sea or come out
right
into the
there
open
aren't as
ocean.
many as go further out to sea. It's just there's some that dip down below the water table. So
Flooded
water
passages.
Water has seeped in, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd vote for heading towards the island and seeing what we can find.
We'll go start heading in. You can see ahead. I mean, the tunnel goes for quite a ways, and you can see ahead that according to the soundings, there's a split in the tunnels ahead. One which goes down underwater, one which goes upwards, and you can see there's some sort of moving, very pale moving lights, and in the far distance, kind of upward. If you're sort of you're doing your your tunnel, and then you kind of look upwards, you see there's some small lights moving around, like pinpricks of lights, sort of.
Ooh.
So also this is when you begin to hear the sound, the rumbling sound.
I don't like that combination of
and the lights start to scramble. They
So we're gonna wait for the rumbling to die down,
or wait for it to come to us.
Yeah.
Great.
So what do you guys do?
So the options are either Landris goes swimming again to try and make it easier for everybody, or wait here to figure out what that thing is. Because it could totally just be like tectonic activity with some like luminous fauna.
You guys still have a question out there?
I kind of want to wait and see what it is.
Right, because it could totally just be like hanging luminous algae that's jingling from
That's
tectonic
jingling
activity.
as things happen. But also what I'm thinking is like, this is underground tunnels. There could be rumbling from like, if the tides are changing, the whole area
Mhm.
could be rumbling or resounding from water inflow back and forth.
Right.
I'm thinking if those pinpoints of light were there and now you said V that they scrambled and now they're gone, or
No,
just
they're sort of scrambling around.
okay.
They're definitely moving. Yeah, just kind of like suddenly if you thought of them as sort of like fireflies, it would look like they're buzzing around very quickly.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily look like they're fleeing. It just looks kind of frenzied, maybe, or stirred up.
It's like when you piss off the fireflies in Eder Chemo.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
And
fireflies, right?
the sound definitely is getting louder.
Can we just throw a fire marble in its direction or something?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah.
So, you throw a fire marble and you get Alondris, are you throwing it?
I assume somebody is just.
Celia will throw it.
Athletics, so
That's
you can
her
make a
type of.
big long,
Okay, yeah. I'll just
because the lights are way down there. So
yes. Let's. Well, that's a good roll. That's a 7.
there we go. So
Holy
Alondris,
shit! Did you play dummy baseball as a kid?
Apparently.
Great overhand throw. Go ding 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 ding. You kind of hear it, around the things.
Right in whatever thing's eyeball it is.
Yeah. As it gets down there, you can see that there's a reflection of water along the bottom. And then it goes into the water. So the bottom of the tunnel ahead, especially further on, is that there's a water surface there.
But no big giant monster, right?
No, but there's you can still see a little bit of the lights that were scattering were higher, so above the water level. But and then the light, you can still see some of the glow from the fire marble below the water. So
okay, so it's settled on
cool
something.
Little, little wave pattern going across the ceiling.
Right.
Sort of a
So the water doesn't go too deep.
Yeah, the wave pattern starting to move very quickly.
Can
I know fire marbles can be turned off by water. Is it immediately extinguished or no?
No. Okie doke. And now, what you realize is that part of the sound you're hearing is the sound of water rushing towards you.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
So we're
from the sea
contest here,
or from down the tunnel.
From down the tunnel.
Oh boy.
And you hear this sort of geyser-like sound coming from down the tunnel towards you, and now let's everybody make an athletics roll. Versus 4.
Well, okay, I got a 5 because that's a null with a +1, and I have a +4.
I got a +3 total.
3 total?
Yeah, 3 total.
Tommy?
I got a +4 total.
Okie doke. So, Celia, you were losing, you get hit, you guys get hit by just in the face with this huge wave of warm water. Just Celia, Tomei and Landris managed to grab onto the rocks on the side.
Okay.
Celia, you take it full in the face. Are you going to spend any fate points or anything to see if you can, hold your place? Or
how many fate points do I have right now? Because I still
3.
see 3, but I know I thought I spent one to use Surveyor's Eye.
Oh God, yes, I apologize.
Or is that actually that's a question? Is that a spend one or no? I didn't spend it on Surveyor's Eye. I spent it on specialized tools to have the equipment.
Yeah.
So I'm down to 2. Yep.
Thank you for pointing that out.
I wanted to be fair.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
And honestly, no. I want to see where I go. So I do
Okay,
not
then.
want to hold my place. I want to see if I get swept somewhere.
Okay, you get whoosh.
I'll just see.
Okay, so so you are taken out of the scene for the moment.
Oh geez.
Okay, no. So we have a contest going on here. So it's you two versus the water. First exchange. If you guys can think of any cool, amazing sort of strategy right now to deal with what's going on, this is the chance to do it. Otherwise, making an athletics roll.
So I have this awesome thing. It's a stunt. It's called Set the Anchor Point.
So literally set the anchor point, huh?
Yeah. So we're at a. Well, so yeah. So actually, on that, literally setting an anchor. We were at a branch where one way went this way and one way went that way. Is there an option to like set a piton into the actual like rock here in the tunnel so that Toma and I, at least, like God knows what happened to Celia right now, but at least us two can like do the like wrap the rope around the arm to hopefully not like disjoint or dislocate our sockets or something, but be able to hold on a little tighter to this branch.
Go ahead and make your athletics roll at a 5. Actually, no, I'm gonna do this differently. You do make your roll though.
Okay, so that's a 6 because that's a null and then +2 on top of the +4.
What we're going to do then is I'm actually going to play the water as a character with a 5 level of wash away.
Awesome.
And you got a what?
I got a 6.
Okay.
So this is a 0 with a +2, so +4, total of 6.
Okay, no. Well, I got a -1 in mine, so so that's you're ahead by 2. So you put the pinion in, and you get an aspect in the area of I don't know
holding
solid handhold.
There you go.
Okay, no. So so you got your solid handhold in there. Tome.
Yeah, I don't have any especially clever ideas here. At some point, I should figure out what actual gear Tome has on her. But I don't think I have anything too out of the ordinary right now. So I could either use survival or athletics. Tome does do a lot of climbing, and so I'm thinking maybe she could try climbing up towards where those lights were above.
So you're gonna try to grab jump forward towards the dryer area.
Yeah, is it okay? Is that also closer to where the water is coming from, or is it
it's the same direction?
Same direction. Okay. But there was a kind of vertical separation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I was picturing you like grabbing a stalagmite or something and climbing your way up.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
If this image is accurate.
Okay, go ahead and make your roll. You can choose survival or athletics.
I'm a little worse at athletics, but I kind of feel like that's maybe the more applicable skill. It's still a +3, so I think I will go with that.
Sure.
Oh boy. So that was a -2 on the roll, so it's a +1.
Okay, so this is a let's see, my skill is 5. The water skill is 5. I got a +1, so I got a 6. So we're gonna kind of do this by points. Like I said, and the contest is a mechanic in Unwritten, where first you need to get 3 points to get past the water, or if the water gets 3 points, it washes you away. Now, because it did so much better than you did, it will give you 2 points. It's going to give the water 2 points against you. Or unless you have an aspect that you'd like to tag and get a reroll, or make it or narrow it down to only 1 point.
Well, I have this "don't tell me what to do" aspect, and I don't want the water to wash me away.
Yeah, that might be a bit of a stretch. This is more of a social one, but I appreciate the thought.
I mean, that seems like a willpower mental fortitude thing to me, just to argue in favor. It's a, well, fuck you, pushing.
Well, wait. No. She has this awesome thing called parkour that's typically used in urban environments. However, given there is no real urban-esque nature to this, would not a stalagmite on the top of the ceiling be an urban environment of a tunnel?
Yeah, yes.
Well, okay.
I'm trying to BS our way through this.
What if you make the case that urban environment is in relation to, like, you know, the Denny Cavern? That is what
Yeah.
It has lots of stalactites, stalagmites, and
Yes.
such a crime.
I will be willing. I mean, okay, what's the parkour?
It gives her +5 on her athletics.
Instead of +3, it would be +5. Yeah.
Okay, that would narrow it down to 1 point that it gets against. You
Right.
wouldn't be washed away or anything like that. You wouldn't be pushed. You'd be pushed back just a little bit, but you still hold your ground for the moment.
That.
You're not completely helpless to it.
Yeah. So it's fine just to leave it there, right? That seems.
Yeah, it just means it's it needs 2 more points to wash you away.
Okay. But it may get those points in the future. This is cumulative.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah.
This is a continuing thing that happens until some. And
So Leah's gone.
Yeah, I lost. But that's okay, because that means I get to see where I'm going. This is one of those things where in character I sort of wanted to win, but out of character I'm like, hell no, let me lose. Let me see where I go. Which honestly befits Celia, so tell me that's
that
not
means
character.
that the water has 1 point against Tomei. Laundress made 1 point with his. So he got 1 point against the water. Okay, now we try. If you have any other cool ideas, you can try, or we can just do a couple more rolls for the next round.
I mean, I'd keep driving these things in and like securing them to myself to like try and keep us down. And then if Toma starts to like wash away, she could grab one too.
Sure. Why don't you make another roll, and I'll the water will roll against you, and we'll see if you can get another +1, another invoke on that. Oh wow.
That's a 7.
Holy shit! You were rolling like a
the water rolled a +2 as well, so you tie.
Oh.
Okay, so that's a push.
Okay.
So still kind of back at the same way. Tomei, what are you doing? Are you gonna just roll, or do you have any cool ideas?
Sorry, just unmuting.
Because you can just hold on if you want.
Yeah.
You're endurancing it out.
Yeah, I think at this point maybe I will just use survival instead of athletics to continue holding on.
Sure, make the roll.
Ah, that was a better roll. That was a +2, and survival is +4, so it's +6.
Oh well, the water rolls a -4 on its dice roll.
Hey.
So you not only succeed, you excel, which gives you 2 points. So it's 2-1 in your favor. You need one more to make it through. It is 1-0 in Laundress's favor. Next round, what's your idea? Either move forward, hang on. Tomei, you since you were ahead, we'll go with you next. Are you just going to hold on some more, or do you want to pull forward, or?
So I'm kind of hanging on to these stalactites right now, right? But they're also probably pretty. I think the stalactites are pretty wet. They would be kind of difficult to keep climbing further.
You got a good handle. So it's like the stalactites, but they're like kind of coral. So there's lots of like handholds.
Yeah. I don't know. This is kind of boring, but I think the safest thing to do is just to keep holding on. I'll probably do that.
Okay, let's give us another survival roll.
Doesn't matter if it's boring, if it's the most practical thing to do.
Yeah.
I got another +2, except a different +2, but it's still so with the survival +4, it's another 6.
Okie doke. The water got a -1, which gives it a 4. It means you get the point on this one. That's 3 points. So that means that you managed to pull forward enough to get past the water spout up into the upper branch that goes towards where the lights are.
Great.
So you are out of danger now.
Woo.
Okay.
My turn, huh?
Laundress.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're just gonna keep pinion in, secure the rope, keep doing that because that seems to be working so far. It's the only trump card he's got right now.
Hey, yeah.
That's 6 again.
Okay, no. Well, that ties again with what the water got. So you're not making any progress, but you're holding on. Unless you have a tree invoke on your solid handhold aspect. If you want to spin that, it'll give you a point.
Yeah, we'll do that. Might as well. Just give us an extra 1 point, so we aren't tying anymore.
No, you don't even have to roll for that one.
Well, no, I was talking about because I assume because she succeeded, I got to roll one more because I've got one more point to win.
Yep. So 2 to 0.
Yep.
Oh,
7.
Nice. Look at that.
Take it. I'll take it.
Oh,
I'll take it.
I rolled a 0, so the water does mediocre. If
All
that's
right.
point, you pull forward.
Woohoo!
The water spout dies down. After you manage to pull forward.
Yes.
The water still kind of it's going, but it's not enough to like wipe it any longer. You see with the light that you have, there's lots of jellyfish throughout the water spout that's going through.
Oh no, Celia, no. I'm gonna message her. Like, did you get stuck? Like, where are you?
Yeah. So you guys scramble up to the kind of area where the one of the tunnels goes upward, and as it kind of goes down, you see all those lights, little tiny light pinpricks around the tunnel edge, moving towards you very quickly.
This is mainly relevant to Toma, who's in the upper tunnel.
Yeah. Oh wait. You're both you're in the upper tunnel. Thomas is at the mouth of the upper tunnel now.
Got it. Okay.
So.
Light it up with the fire marble.
Okay. Shake the fire marble. Light comes on. It's all these little. There's all these little sort of like lizard things about yay big, with three legs on each side, and a long tail, and 3 eyes. And all the eyes are emitting light, like they're flashlights. And they all go skitter right past you, and start going into the water and start grabbing jellyfish and eating them.
Nom nom nom.
So there's all these little lights and little very happy scampering little cave lizards with 3 eyes, munching on all the jellyfish.
I'm getting a little scared because Cap threw out the idea of dinosaurs, and now there are cave lizards, and I don't know how much bigger they're gonna get, but
I would say they're only like that big, right? You said?
Yeah.
Those are full-grown adults.
These lizards are about that big, yeah.
These lizards.
Oh no. So Cap, Celia gets washed away, and gets pushed down the tunnel, into the grotto, out into the open water, and you get actually kind of pushed upward out of the water. Not a huge amount, because there's not a huge amount of pressure, but you get popped up in the water. And as you pop up in the water, there are jellyfish flying into the air all over. So you're in this like cloud of jellyfish in the air, and the light catches them, and they do this sort of cool, pearlescent sort of thing in the light, and they all start floating down, like they're parachutes.
Cue the Jaws music.
That's so
and
cool.
a couple of them land on you, and it hurts real bad.
Celia, you're muted.
You've got a.
I was going to ask that question. Did they sting?
Yes. You have a moderate consequence of stung all over.
Okay.
And then you kind of plop back in the water, and then they're all the jellyfish are just going to gently, clouds of jellyfish are just gently wafting down.
You know what? I really don't want to get hit by them, so can I, even though everything hurts like a bitch, I would extremely like to use my athletics to get back into the grotto.
Okay, make a roll.
Or actually, possibly my first step can be they're all in the sky. Do I see? Because come to think of it, the water came from the grotto.
Yep.
Does that mean there's still jellyfish over that way? Or did they kind of all
There's
come
still
out
some
the-
jellyfish in the water. You could swim through them. You could probably get through them without too much damage, or at least it's not going to matter that much more.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's my goal: is leave.
Okay, so make your athletics roll.
Base roll +2, athletics +1. So that's a total of 3.
Okay, yeah, it's not gonna be that hard. There's no resistance at this point, so since you just didn't roll badly, you make it through. As you go through, there's a bunch of the jellyfish floating around. As when you start to go into the water, you can see the jellyfish, especially higher up, start to get caught by the wind, and you make it back into the grotto, and there are kind of jellyfish carcasses everywhere. They kind of got splattered against the walls and that sort of thing. And the water
Right.
sort of trickling through.
Because there's land part of the grotto as well as
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah, you can
So
make it back into the tunnel.
she's just gonna pull herself up onto a ledge, and I've got a decent survival score. We've probably brought a first aid kit. I don't know
Oh,
which
yeah.
one of us has it. So Celia is immediately going to text the others with, in the grotto, jellyfish hurt, bring first aid kit. I'm imagining she doesn't have it because she's got all of the surveyor toolkit. So yeah,
Who
that's
has
the
the
plaintive
highest
text
rating?
complaint. Jellyfish hurt, _.
Normally it'd probably be Kenneth who has the first aid kit, right?
Yeah.
Kenneth does tend to do that sort of thing, yeah. But the people here, Andres has some medicine. Yeah, I mean, probably Andres is probably the person who have that sort of stuff on him.
Yeah. Landis is more used to looking out for others.
So you're gonna go back and help Celia?
I've been muted. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and help her.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, she's got stings all over. Luckily, a lot of it didn't get through like clothes, but there's some shoulders and arms and such that need some medication. I'm not gonna make you roll. It's kind of okay.
We probably have like a dunny.
It's jellyfish stings, right? This is like, it's in the first aid handbook, right?
Yeah.
It's right up there with wark bites.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna go this jellyfish stings probably work like bee stings. Like you know that you take a dunny Benadryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put a cool compress on it.
Yeah, you got the equivalent of a EpiPen just in case you need it.
Yeah.
So we'll mark. You still got the stings, but it'll be marked as recovering.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
that it'll downgrade next session to a minor.
Okay.
And did we just lose one? Oh, there you are.
No, should still be here.
Your video of you for a sec. But you're good.
What happened? Why did it change?
Are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Hold on.
More
There we go. It killed my. There we go. This should be better.
There you go.
Right? Yes. Okay.
Okay. So you're all patched up.
Yes.
And then I assume you're gonna meet back with Tome back at the upper tunnel there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is probably a good place to like at least take a break.
Yeah.
I don't know if since we started late, I don't know how much further we want to go or not, but let's at least take a 10-minute break.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, we at least want to get somewhere where like we can set up the HQ and then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, this would definitely be the thing where since we get past that, that's definitely when we wind up writing a link point here so that anybody else who tracks us has to go through the jellyfish wave.
Right. Oh man, that's a.
Okay. Okay. So we'll be back in just about 10 minutes. And we'll see everybody then. Shara. Hello. Wait, I don't see my sound going. Hello. Wait, there I am. Welcome back. I hope you guys had a good break. We did too. And so we're going to continue our adventures underground in the age that Landris wrote. And we're now in tunnels. We've gotten past the grotto, and Celia has, gotten some medical attention for the face full of jellyfish that she got from the underwater geyser. And we got Landris and Tome and Celia now in one of the safer areas with the tunnel, with the little cave lizards, with the flashlight eyes.
I love them.
Oh, hi. And my camera's a little off. And there we go. Okay. So, Tome and Landris, Celia, what are we doing?
Landris is observing Celia to make sure there's no long-term effects from jellyfish stings here.
Same.
Taking nice little like medical notes. Like,
Yeah.
if suddenly you feel faint, you need to tell me right away.
Do you feel faint or dizzy or?
Yes.
That creeping sense of doom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Passing out on the spot.
If your left arm starts to go numb.
Yeah. So far feels fine.
Okay.
She's just mad. She's like,
Yeah.
I want to keep walking, and then I want to destroy all jellyfish. They came down the tunnel from somewhere, so somewhere up the tunnel, there's going to be the source pool of jellyfish, and then we can get rid of them.
So Celia, you were you were in this like plume of water that came out. Was it freshwater plume or was it still a saltwater plume?
It was a plume that was full of jellyfish. I was kind of getting stung.
Oh.
But would I have noticed that, or would I have just been going?
Right. Full of stinging pain.
Yeah.
Though it was freshwater.
Huh.
I think it was freshwater.
Also, remember that you still have, left over one of Tome's questions from her earlier, explorations into your writing. So, there's a tunnel that leads back to the grotto where you came from, and then the tunnel goes onward. Are you guys going to go deeper towards the island?
So I have a question. I'm not going to ask this yet. I want to get approval from the other, but I would like for us to continue exploring this upper tunnel, but I don't think it's worth doing if there is a decent chance that it is all susceptible to, stinging water plumes of death. So I guess what I'm wondering is, I would think there would be a pretty visible difference in the sort of stone surfaces of an area where water often passes through and an area that mostly stays dry.
That makes a ton of sense because water slicks the stones and wears them down over time.
Right, exactly. Are people on board with asking,
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely ask that one.
Okay. I mean, that will be your last question. And so the further questions you'll need to do other rolls on. Okay. Yeah. Yes. This area is definitely not an area that sees a huge amount of water go through it. The textures of the cave walls are different. Whereas towards the grotto, the textures of the cave walls were much more coral-like in its structure and shapes. The walls here are much more like just pumice, in the sense of there's still lots of like little holes and that sort of thing, but they're kind of rough. They haven't been worn away by water, that sort of thing. And there's little bits of in the little holes you'll find little bits of things that look sort of like moss or fungus. So yeah, definitely you're in a place where you're not while it is not a dry place in the sense that it's like arid or anything, water does not rush through here on a regular basis at all.
Okay. I feel like we went into the mouth of the cave, and then there was the split between the esophagus and the trachea, and now we're in the trachea.
Exactly, yeah. We're into the air passage.
Yeah, I say we continue in the air passages. What other?
Okay, you head on in. Are you guys doing
So-
any more things like, any other, checking or anything, or are you just going deeper into the tunnels?
So I'm trying to understand. So we came from the grotto
Mhm.
and we hit the split here where one way to the right, I think you said, was the water,
Mhm.
and then left is the one where we were walking down. And then as we walked down that way, there was one that went down under the water and then one that went up, and we're in that top one now.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So, and you're definitely headed back, more towards the island.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could probably estimate you're probably, below the beach area-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, so it seems like we're somewhere that's safe from water at least, and also
Right.
kind of natural defense outside of it. I guess the main concerns at this point would be, are we going to find more of these lizard creatures at a more dangerous scale? Also,
Right.
for all we know, we continue through this tunnel and it just opens back up to the surface. And it turns out that there's a much shorter way of getting back here.
Right. I think we should keep going down the tunnel and exploring further and find some kind of good resting spot, like, because he's ready to write the linking book to wherever we set our HQ.
Mhm.
And then at some point he can go back and maybe make a decoy one at the grotto. But as far as simplicity goes for us, getting something set up so that we can not be carrying this box with us the entire time, which Landris was totally holding on to during that entire wave thing.
Absolutely.
It's
Never
exact.
dislodged it at all.
It's perfectly fine. So we don't have to carry, so we don't have to carry that with us everywhere.
Yep.
So.
Okay. So, head down in more, and we start to get seeing splits off, of the cave, it turns more from just a tunnel into sort of a more intricate cave, tunnel system. I'm going to guess that you guys do something to, mark your way along so that you don't get lost, because you are competent explorers.
Yes.
And eventually you get to what actually opens into a really large chamber. Probably size of maybe a 1-block, 2-story building. And there are lots of what look like, the rock is very porous once again, and but there are lots and lots of what look like plant roots and tree roots.
Ooh.
Of various sizes that kind of wend their way all the through the walls, and some of them go straight down through the middle, especially some of the bigger ones of the cavern, that sort of thing. And once again, it's surprisingly, the air here is surprisingly fresh. You would expect it to be stale and that sort of thing, but it is surprisingly fresh. And you can kind of hear small, occasionally small whistling noises. So, back towards the way you came, you occasionally still see one of a couple of the little lizards kind of scramble along back and forth. But not much else in terms of that. So.
Perfect. Okay.
So you're in this chamber. Is there anything you want to take a look at, or are you going to explore some more, or do we want to do some more investigation rolls?
I was going to say, I'd like to see if there's any sign. Well, I don't really have that. That's a survival. Yeah, maybe climb up around the walls and stuff and look into some of these nooks that exist, and with the tree roots and stuff, and see what's going on, see how stable they would be, how bedroom-esque they might be, to be able to assign different purposes to them or something.
There are lots of little, the little nooks have little small tunnels that lead off. so it's like it's like a warren of tunnels. You
Okay.
do occasionally come up, and there are these little sort of like blind mole rat sort of looking things.
Okay.
With the kind of and they've got 3 legs on each side like the lizards do. And when you get close to them, they turn towards you and they like open up these. They have these big 3 eyes on the front. They open up and it kind of flashes you with like really bright light out of their eyes. I mean, it's not
Okay.
blinding, but it's definitely like all of a sudden poof light, and they're kind of like so it's some sort of threat display.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem aggressive at all.
Right.
But and you'll find them in little packs in different parts of the caves and such.
Okay. So Landris is going to take out a page of his journal and see if these rats are keen to munch on paper.
They kind of sniff. They kind of poke at it. They one of them starts kind of munching on the paper a little bit, and their eyes close a bit, and it gets a lot less dark. A lot less bright. So they're still just like little slits, but putting out little bits of light. Once again, the whole idea like the eyes are kind of like flashlights, but it's not flashing really bright now.
Right.
And a couple of the other ones kind of come along, and
Yeah. So linking book's not safe unattended here. They will be eaten.
Okay. So do we want to do, like I said, investigation roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Choose your skill and make your roll. It's not there's a lot of places things to find here, so it's not going to be particularly hard. So let's go for a 4. Okay, maybe it's average.
Okay. Oh.
So
I rolled a -1, so I got a 3.
Oh, okay. Tell me, what'd you get?
I rolled a -1. It seems like I'm using survival for everything these days. It's not.
But it's a good skill.
Okay.
It's a new environment. It's potentially dangerous, so it qualifies.
All right, sure. So +3 then.
Okay. Andres, what'd you get?
Yeah. So I was going to use intrusion. I got a even, so it's a +0 here. So that would be a 3. Because I was going to try and like go through this little like see if these warrens are just big enough for like these creatures, or if they go off other places, if it's like the other networks. Like I'm just trying to intrude into some of these other places to see what I can find out there.
Okay.
So,
none of you made the 4.
Yeah.
So you can either either tag some aspects if you like, or you can come up with a plan to get you guys more information, or you can decide that you want to go and do something else.
I would like to tag my runaway looking for a place to belong high concept. You can tag your high concept, right?
Yeah, it's an aspect like any other.
Yeah. So, Tome is no stranger to living in strange places and trying to identify whether a new place is habitable. So I'm going to invoke that. And I guess, let's see, I'm at +3, right? So maybe I should just add 2 to bump it up to 5.
Okay, that gives you one, kind of, general question, not yes, no-ish, but a good question there. So Leah, you gonna be doing anything, or?
I'm gonna tag bright-eyed and bushy-tailed surveyor.
Oh, there you go.
And give me a +2.
Okay, that takes you up there as well. Let me make sure that the state points updated here. So you got 1, 2. What is Landris doing?
Landry, I could maybe tag that driven one again to like get it up to that +2, but I don't know if that actually fits or not. Like he's driven to find a place where we can like call it secure at this particular moment.
If you want to spend the fate point, I'll go with it.
Yeah, okay, we'll go ahead. And so yeah, just do the +2, so that would be a +5 all total.
Okay, so you each have one, question. So you can, organize your your explorations here. Answer your questions, collaborate. So, what do you want to know, or what do you want to do?
No. There's probably something really interesting to be said about these roots, but I don't know how to formulate it into a question.
I was gonna say so.
I mean,
You're
you
going
could formulate into a question of what's really interesting about these roots.
That also works because they're going all sorts of places, and the fact that they can go through the stone, or through the ground and keep heading somewhere indicates something to me. So yeah, what's up with these roots? I'll use my question.
Okay. The roots are, there's several different types of roots. There's the biggest roots all seem to be the same type of plant. And they're, it's really, really tough material. Hardwood, sort of stuff, and it seems to be able to kind of like push its way into the various, like crags and such in the pumicy rock, and kind of slowly force its way through.
Okay.
Often wrapped around these are smaller roots, and these roots seem to be hollow. And where the roots crack, you can feel air come through it, like somehow the roots are conducting, acting as sort of a ventilation system.
Okay.
There's several other different types of roots that kind of wrap around these big ones, like they're the ones that are partially hollow. Some of them, they're plant roots. I mean, somebody like, Kenneth might be able to figure out, if they're edible or if they're chemical uses or such. So
But
there's
some of
quite
them
a
are like little
cornucopia of roots here.
ivy roots, and some of them are more like tree roots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some are almost tuber-like, some are not. So yeah, I mean, it's quite the variety. But the main ones are, the sort of, air roots and the big kind of really strong, core roots. Or those core roots are the ones that, have the big ones that go straight down
Okay.
through the thing as like sort of like columns. And obviously they're getting down to the water somehow, and it's sort of the big roots kind of give the way, and everybody else kind of goes with it.
Okay.
So that's what's up with the roots.
Honestly, this sounds like a much better home for the Denny civilization than our current.
Right.
Yeah.
We found a new cavern, everybody.
There we go. Yeah, there are several other channels coming off of this, by the way. It's not just a dead end. So I mean, this is definitely a large network of tunnels.
Right.
What's
Does it? Yeah, I was like, so okay. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway for my question. Where does the whistling come from?
I'm not even going to spin your question on that because it's coming from the air roots.
I was going to say that is 100% what I assumed.
Yeah. That's not worth a question.
Okay. It might have been bugs or something, but thank you.
Yeah. Like, or it could have been the mole rats for all we knew.
Oh my god.
So now when you say the mole, like, so okay, so so the warrens, are they like are the mole rats made these warren tunnels, or they're just more naturally occurring tunnels?
They're naturally occurring. I mean, there's big tunnel, like the ones that you guys can make through, and there's lots of like networks of small tunnels that
okay,
animals can crawl through and that sort of thing.
Okay. Because I don't like the fact that we have rats here that will chew up our books if we leave them here. So a different place is probably better.
I don't know. We have a case for the books.
Well, you can put them in containers,
I was like, yeah, but if a rat can chew through paper, it can probably chew through wood as well.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to be like everything would have to be stone, which I guess.
I mean, it's the neat everything.
Yeah, it's stunning. Everything's a lot of things are stone anyway. So Mashavan might be able to fashion something better at some
Do you have a question you want to ask about how to possibly adapt the area?
Yeah, how could this be adapted to an effective getaway for us?
I mean, if your concern is the mole rats, the mole. I mean, you could line areas with stone. I mean, stonemasons do that sort of thing all the time. They have the ability to kind of spray stone, and then form it and let it harden. So you could definitely create safe areas. So that and it's hard. You guys make hard stone, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
That's true.
So yeah, you could definitely do that.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, you probably are not gonna want to cut off the roots too much because it is a really good source of air.
No, and also we could possibly tap the roots for fresh water if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
At least maybe some of the ivier ones that aren't the actual like structural.
Yeah.
And who knows? Who knows? There could be some awesome like maple syrup kind of stuff in one of these roots that we just have to discover.
Who knows we're gonna find when we can't get that view.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So.
And there are multiple chambers and and more. So you can find you could make several like here's
right.
the room and this has this one's lined with stone. And you have a lot.
Here's Mashavan's room. It's reinforced against explosions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So okay. And it's like a block by 2 stories. So we're talking like
this picture chamber is big.
Yeah, it's huge with a lot of potential stuff.
Yeah, I mean you could build structures in here.
Okay, then it could work. I would defer to everybody else's opinion as well, but just thinking out loud.
And Tome, you have a question. What sort of things are you thinking about? What are things that you wanted to know about it?
I am still thinking about whether the route we took to get into this system of caves is the only route in. It seems like there are all these branching offshoots, and that could be great if it's a safe space for us to build into, but not so great if some of those offshoots lead up to the surface or to other more easily accessible.
Right.
So I think what I'm wondering is, barring our fire marbles, barring the occasional blinking flashlight eyes of the moles and the lizards, is there any evidence of natural light coming into any of these areas? Like if we were to extinguish whatever we could and just be in the total darkness, would there be light anywhere?
The only natural lights you've seen have come from those animals that seem to do the light thing from their eyes.
Okay, well, that's promising.
Yeah, and and you're kind of just from you can tell you're kind of expecting that to be kind of the case for anywhere close. There's no hints of light from any direction other than that.
Okay. Well, I think Toma is pretty on board with this being our new HQ.
Cavern 2.0.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you guys doing to set the place up, just basically?
I love that name.
Well, so we've got the one box. I assume the box is also made of stone.
Yes.
Okay. And it's the one that's like, it's the one that's like locked and stuff, right? So, okay. So I guess
it's connected to your Ds.
Yeah.
The locks and the shoving put together.
Right. So got to find a good spot to put the link in point.
Mm-hmm.
So find one of those and then write the linking book.
Uh-huh.
And then while Landris is doing that, Toma and Celia, because it's going to take him a little bit to write that linking book, because also he could do this one 100% from memory. That's the first.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he can do the office ones from memory now too, but
yeah,
he's just written so many of those. But yeah, so he's probably just going to be writing. He's going to take extra like special care with this one because we only have the descriptive book and now this linking book.
Mm-hmm.
And so he might even actually, no, we're going to start with one for now. We're not going to write multiple copies of the linking book yet. We'll deal with that later. So yeah, he's just going to be doing that for a little bit. So yes.
What are Tommy and Celia doing then?
I want to keep just surveying around. I probably got like a tag marker system, so I don't want to go too far from Landris while he's doing the work. But like you mentioned, there were a couple other tunnels that we could actually get through. So put a marker, like a bright paint dot or something, and then go 100 paces down a tunnel to look at it, and then turn around, come back, and go 100 paces towards the next tunnel. Basically just kind of trying to map out how many of these can I actually fit through.
Yeah, no problem. What's Tommy doing?
Tomei also wants to help map this area. It's like that feeling of like, I don't know, like going to sleep in a room that has 6 different doorways leading off of it, and you just feel a little bit exposed. It's like I think she wants to know where all the different tunnels lead before before she can really feel secure, and like she's the kind of person who maybe sometimes likes to have her back to the wall.
Sure. Okay, so you guys are kind of exploring. Landris is writing the book, the leaky book. So Tomei, that's you're going down a couple of these things, and both of you actually, Tomei, you see a lot of those little mole rats kind of all around. They seem to be very common down in this area. And lots of roots and different types of roots. Sometimes the mole rat, are you find a bunch of mole rats chewing on a particular like knot of roots of various different things. Where you are, Tomei, suddenly all of the mole rats all suddenly sort of stop. You can occasionally hear that, as they're chewing on stuff, and suddenly it gets really quiet, and you hear
like something, not just in the area that we're in, but it's as if something happened.
Yeah, something. You're kind of down one of the more towards the tunneling stuff. But yeah, like and then you look around, all the mole rats are gone. They've all fled.
Oh boy, maybe we hear a rumbling.
No, you don't hear any rumbling. No.
But
We're still gonna climb on a ledge or something, just in case there are more jellyfish wave coming.
I assume I don't know anything of what's going on. Landris is just like casually writing in the book in the middle of nowhere.
So what are you doing?
So there's nothing that we can detect with our own senses right now.
There's some scraping noises all of a sudden. I mean, it's sort of like very, very faint. It's like scraping noises. And it does seem to be getting a little bit louder, almost like chittering.
Let's go back in the center to Landris and convince him to also stand up somewhere.
Yeah, I kind of want to move, like withdraw a little bit in the direction that the mole rats went.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you come back, and so Landris is there, writing away, and you can kind of see, the mole rats in this area start to skitter off too.
Where are they going?
They're kind of scattering.
Are they like going towards the walls, going towards hidey holes?
They're going towards hidey holes all over. Some of them kind of like are kind of cowering in different corners and stuff. This is obviously, like this little hole is obviously like their little nest area sort of thing and stuff, but they're all kind of.
All right, well, whatever this is, it may be like the lizards that just walked right past us. We may be totally fine. It would be nice to get eyes on it if we could from a safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So suddenly there's this sort of and there's like a cloud of insects that comes in through the tunnels.
Oh, come on. Do they sting?
And there's like it's sort of like there's like a burst of air with them. Like there's like a sudden burst of air pressure or something kind of that pushes them all in, and they're flying all over the place.
Press
And you hear
myself
like
against.
you hear like little squeals and stuff from that. Where is everybody?
I assume I'm still in the middle of this cavern writing a book.
Yeah.
So Leah has pressed herself up against a wall near one of the mole rats, who seem to be cowering in wall corners. Lender's like really not see them scramble in and go noise.
What's Tommy doing?
Yeah.
Landris is in right mode. Like
I think Tomei is also against a wall near one of the kind of like natural forest nooks in the wall. Maybe one that would.
Are you guys like you've got your lights on you and everything like that? Are you like what are you doing to prepare yourself?
I'm not turning off my fire marble because I want to see, which may turn out to be very unfortunate.
Okie doke.
I think I would just try to make sure as much of my exposed skin as possible is covered with like gloves or scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie doke. So yeah, there's all these they just kind of swarm the area. They're flying insects, crawling insects of different sorts. Also, interestingly enough, those that when they get close to you, they sort of back off, and kind of form, like they don't get too close, like something's holding them back. There's a whole cloud that's going around Laundress, but they won't, like they're trying to get at Laundress, but they can't.
This is once the cloud enters into the cavern, this is when Landris finally looks up because he can actually hear something that's not mole rats, and he's like, "Oh no!" Okay, you've seen the movie Speed. You know the dude who walks in and he sees the blinking light and like the sudden realization that the house is about. Spoilers: the house is gonna blow up. Like he's got that look on his face. It's like, oh heck! And now he's just like, okay, now they're toying with me. Like. What's going on?
So what are you guys doing?
Can someone remind me of Riven lore? Are the scarab beetles in Riven used to make? No, it's the E-trams used to make the ink. Are the scarab beetles involved in the
scarab beetles make ink? E-trams make go high.
Yeah. E-trams are what Gen smokes.
Gen extracts the poison.
And the beetles, the beetles are the ink.
High.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
traditionally they come from beetles too.
Did I accidentally an ink beetle? Is that what's happened here?
Yeah, are these ink beetles? Is that why they're kind of approaching Laundress? He's writing with ink. Do they?
They don't seem to look like. I mean, none of you are ink makers, so you don't know the exact details, but beetles are sort of involved. But I mean, they're all sort of like they're swarming around. There's lots of noises from like obviously they're biting the mole rats and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's like you guys have like force fields around you. Like they kind of try to come towards you and then they back off and like I said, Laundress, because Laundress is in the middle, they kind of like are swirling around him.
So if I take out another fire marble and throw it into the cloud, does anything odd happen?
Oh yeah, they part like the Red Sea.
I hate light. There we go.
And you also start seeing flashes of light from different parts of the walls as just small touch as the mole rats start going into threat display mode, and you see them kind of scatter. A light. So every time the light flashes off, there's a scatter of bugs away from them.
Okay, so they don't like light.
So why didn't the mole rats just all open their eyes instead of running away? It seems like they have a good defense mechanism.
But
evolution. Darwin's getting involved here. Yeah.
So are you guys just gonna kind of wait out the storm, or are you doing something specific? Or
Celia's gonna wait it out. She has had her
I mean,
experiences.
I don't see many other options.
yeah,
Is it just the light that they back away from, or if I like wave my arm a little bit, do they back away from any like part of me?
no, you kind of you smack a bunch with your arm. Make a quick athletics roll.
That is 4.
Okay. So you did get a couple bites on you, like bee stings sort of feeling.
Okay.
But they don't back away. They don't back away from you. Just the light. So you got a minor consequence of stung.
Oh.
I'm in a cloud of them with the first aid kit.
And that's why I didn't want to fuck with anything.
After a while, like the air shifts in the cabin chamber, and it's sort of kind of, and then they all sort of start to go back down the tunnel that they came from. Like the air shifted back the other direction. You're all kind of go back down with the air. Like there was a big air like blast that came out from the tunnel that spit these things everywhere, and now that the air has seceded, they're starting to go back down.
Okay.
So now there's still some around. They're kind of crawling around, but they definitely don't.
So there's definitely. I don't know if Landers would know this in character. There's definitely something going on with air pressures. That's why we got a geyser of water. That's why we've now gotten a bug of, So there's definitely something going on with air pressure, possibly on a cyclical time rate. But Landris isn't smart enough about those kind of things to understand that. He can't put the 2 and 2 together.
A good point, though.
He's not like he's the geologist, maybe. I don't know. So some profession that's not a maintainer would know that.
Yeah, that's probably maybe from the could be a writer, could be a stonemason.
Right. It's a much more scientific position than just like make sure things work.
Yeah. A surveyor, a long-term surveyor, sort of like surveyor could probably tell you the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Celia might be able to, but Landers wouldn't know.
So, did you guys want to make another investigation roll, or? I mean, probably Celia would probably be the best likely for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I will do a surveying roll.
Versus 4.
Total of 6.
There you go. 2 questions.
Okay. So what do we want me to ask? Like, do we want to see one of the questions determining kind of what the cycle time is? Like, was there? We know how long we were down in the grotto before the water blasted, and then we know how long after the water blast this happened, so we could see if there's similar times.
Yeah, we haven't had that
this is
third
every
data
15
point.
minutes thing.
Right, we haven't had the third data point to get a real pseudo measure on it.
But if the other ones are every 15 minutes, then 15 minutes from now we should brace.
Right.
It would be nice to know if there were kind of telltale warning signs. I guess with the geyser, we heard some rumbling. It seems like, in fact, mostly the moles were what tipped us off. It'd be nice to know if there's anything else we can monitor.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
Your call, Celia.
I think the first question is, what has been the timing between the events so far?
You probably have to, if you guys don't mind, fast forwarding a little bit. Well, it's been some time working out. That there are some other indications. There are other rumbles that come by a couple of every once in a while. Obviously, there are shifts in the air that don't fit things everywhere.
Okay.
So obviously, there's a network of pressure shifts going on. that seems to be, there's something happening about every 45 minutes or so.
Okay.
Okay.
You do get at least one, one more spout of bugs that come your way. And they stay away from the light, just like that.
So we just get together with, if
Yeah.
we all sit together with lights up, then we're fine.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's definitely a sort of 45 minutes roughly. I mean, you need to spend more time studying it to get the exact things down, but something's definitely going on
Okay.
on a regular basis.
And the bugs came out of one tunnel. Other rumbling changes, are those happening in other tunnels?
Yeah, there's some air changes that come from other tunnels.
Okay.
Sometimes you get rumbles from this direction, that direction. So there's definitely a lot going on. So that was one question. What's your second?
Yes. Definitely.
I'm just trying to figure out what I mean, we're back to like, is this actually the safest spot now? But like bugs we can deal with, the mole rats we can deal with.
The water we don't want to deal with.
But we haven't seen water. We've seen bugs again, but we haven't seen water up here. Is there like clear signs that there's water that does come through here occasionally? Like, do we have more of those coral things anywhere, or any sort of like moss, sort of like that would be attributed to the geyser, or no? I guess that could be a question.
You're just kind of questioning the safety of this particular area.
I mean, possibly. I don't know. What does everybody think?
I thought we kind of knew that there weren't signs of water erosion in any of
Right.
Yeah, you don't see any of the same type of things that you saw in the grotto here. No, definitely.
Yeah. So okay. I don't know then. I don't have a question that's at the front of my mind.
Do we still get a like either a fate point or a major hint or something? Do we still have that?
Yes, we still have that left over from your really good investigation roll at the beginning.
I mean, at this, like, we're
At
really
this point, let's use one.
Yeah, let's use the major hint. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Let's
what
do
do
it.
you want to? I mean, you kind of want to know. The basic category is, can we use this as a base? Essentially, that I'm getting. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A secure base.
A secure base. Yes, I mean, there's definitely some. It's hard to hear me. Let's see here. What did I'm just getting this from the chat to say it's a little hard to hear me.
Did it swap back to your like webcam microphone?
I might have. I'll just talk a little bit louder for a bit, because we're almost done anyways. Can you guys hear me a little bit better now? I mean, in the chat, they may be a little bit on delay.
Yeah, it depends on how far you are from the server, how long that delay is.
We must have done something, but
hear you, but you're significantly quieter than the rest of the team.
How about now?
Sounds the same to me, but maybe different for chat.
Well, yeah, because it could be something on the broadcast out end as opposed to the Zoom end.
No, that's well, thank you for pointing that out. We want to hear that sort of thing. Let's see here. I will try to. Well, if you can still hear me at somewhat, at least we'll finish up, and then hopefully I can before the next session I can get my whole setup fixed so I don't have the problem.
It's been that way on all of the streams. Oh.
Well, good to know. Well, okay, I will put my due diligence into the next stream to get that all fixed up.
Tech support. Woohoo.
Yep. But so for now, essentially what it is that there's definitely a lot going on in this age. It's very dynamic. There's a lot of sort of nasty things crawling around and surprises and such. But there does seem to be some sort of cycle to it, and securing caverns is what they need to do.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be best if you had like a stonemason or a miner who could help you out. But with what you guys know, you can definitely secure this place, no problem.
Okay.
You know how to get against how to block the bugs, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's gonna take a little work, but it's a fixer upper.
Audrey, we need an extrusion tool. You're not allowed to ask us why, but we need one.
And just we're gonna bring a miner in.
Fall off the back of the truck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They'll just fall off the back of the truck, and maybe a user's manual too, so we can figure this out.
Okie doke. So yeah,
okay.
This will be a good place, and this is also a good place to wrap up since we're at 4.
Yeah.
So I guess to get us back to the office, like Landris would just while they're off doing their thing, one of these little offshoots, he'd try to secure it as best we can with loose rocks and stuff, and then set the linking point there where critters can't get in. Yep. And then we can always move rocks when we get back. Around. Yeah.
And I'm sure Mashavin can come up with all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll just get this set up and then talk to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okie doke. I think we're pretty good set then. I mean, we can make, we've got our links here, getting back to the office, not a problem. Yep. Things are safe. We had a little bit of a good side quest there.
It was fun.
Oh. So, anybody have any last thoughts as we wind down?
I'm just very impressed with Landris's writing ability.
Yeah.
Space is packed with life and it seems to be a stable ecosystem. Wow. First try.
For being a poor man's Gen, he didn't do half bad.
Yeah. The age is not actively falling apart.
Yes.
That's a great step.
Yes. So, woohoo!
I'm really glad the quakes, the tremors were just air and animals shifting around.
Yes.
Even if
exactly
got one of those things in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor jellyfish.
Okie doke. Okay, so I'll tell everybody thank you. Once again, if you like what we're doing, Patreon, give Cyan lots of money. Join us, on the various Discords. Come to Mysterium every year and be excellent to each other.
Yes.
Okie doke. We will see you in a month's time.
Woot.
Yeah. Bye, chat.
Oh, and that last, I gotta change that thing. Okay.